The barn is extremely overdue for a clean out, so I figured I would take this chance to show y'all my kind of routine when it comes to cleaning out the barn. It took me a long time to figure out what type of bedding I like, and I do kind of have a new system now because, as you can see, the majority of this is hay. I don't use hay as bedding, I use straw. So this is all wasted hay that the goats have knocked out from the hay feeders. But I just fixed my hay feeders, so they're pretty much 0% waste now, which is amazing. So now I'm going to try to get a system to where I can spot clean at least like once or twice a week, and then full on clean it out every like 1 to 2 months. What are you doing? The first step is to get all of this cleaned out. I have two sides of the barn here. Here's the fixed up hay feeder. That's their fixed up hay feeder, so it's very low waste. I did post the making of this feeder and the fixing up of this feeder on my Instagram and Facebook and TikTok if you want to check those out. But I think I'll end up tying Isla somewhere over here and cleaning out this side first. Okay, so I let the barn dry out for about an hour, and now I'm about to put down a layer of diatomaceous earth. This stuff is not to be messed with. It will slit the bellies of bugs or parasites, but it will also slit the lining of your lungs. So definitely want to use protection when using this. I like to just put my shirt over my nose. You can definitely just use a mask if that makes you feel more comfortable. Just definitely be careful, don't let this go into your lungs. So as I said, it will slit the bellies of bugs. It can help with parasites. So this is kind of like a one-time fix because once it gets wet, it doesn't work anymore. That's one reason that I like to let the barn dry out before I put it down, because if I'm putting it on a wet surface, it's not really useful at all. So I'm gonna carefully put a thin layer of this all around the barn, and then we'll move to the next step. Another thing to note, I make sure that I don't have any animals near me when I'm spreading DE, just because I want to protect their lungs as well. So just make sure there's no animals nearby. And I do try and spread it carefully so it doesn't puff up too bad. So I'm just going to give it a minute to kind of settle down. Anything that is in the air to just let it settle down, and then I will spread some cedar. So this is a bag of cedar chips, cedar bedding. I get it from Tractor Supply. They have two sizes. I get the bigger size. It's 141 liters. This is usually enough for the entire barn. You can see it's already open. A while ago, I had cleaned up just like a section of the barn, so I'm probably not going to open a new bag. I'll probably just use a little bit less than I normally do. But just for the record, I usually use one of these bags for the entire barn, so 1/2 per section. So cedar helps with bug control. Most bugs do not like cedar. I have a lot of spiders and things in my barn, so I just kind of like to use this to deter them. Now, cedar is not necessarily bad for goats, but you do want to make sure they're not eating a whole ton of it. So I make sure to put just a thin layer down. This Isla is being ornery today. So I'm just going to put down a thin layer, try to use about half of this, and then we'll move on to the next step and final step. It's starting to get dark out, so we're using the flash. So this is the layer of cedar I have here. One thing I will note is that I really focus the application of both the cedar and the diatomaceous earth to the corners and the sides of the room. This is because I want to make sure that anything that's trying to come into the barn gets a really big dose of that diatomaceous earth and the cedar. So now I'm going to bring the cedar back to the garage and grab the final product. I apologize about the terrible lighting. We're almost done. So I got my bedding here. So right now it's in this big old tub because, again, I had used some of a bag. It's at Tractor Supply. It's just shredded up bedding, or straw. So my hope is with this type of bedding, it will be a lot easier to spot clean. I haven't gotten to a point of spot cleaning yet. I have used this for a few cleanings. I just haven't been able to spot clean because as soon as I put this down, it's like there's a layer of hay on top. So I'm really hopeful this time that it'll be real easy to scoop up little spots when it's shredded like this. But we'll see how this goes. I'm just going to layer this out. I'll see if I need to open another bag, but just going to spread it out for now. I decided to use probably another half of this bag. So hopefully you can see that. That's the brand I get. I'm going to guess that what I have down is about half of a bag, so I'm going to use half of this, and that should be plenty. Equals up to around 1 bag, which is what I'll normally use. Alright, so this is what it looks like. I'm going to kind of use a flash to find any spots of cedar that aren't covered up. So I just like to have enough bedding to cover up all that cedar, and then also, of course, give them a soft spot to lay, walk, all that good stuff. Alright, so last step before I put Isla back in here, I'm going to fill up her hay feeder, because when you put a goat in a freshly bedded barn, they are going to try and eat up all that bedding. So I like to make sure they have other options just to kind of avoid them eating too much bedding. And I'll also be feeding them with grain here soon, so that'll help distract as well. Thankfully, Isla's not one to really eat bedding too much, so that's great. Astrid, on the other hand, is one who will try and eat as much bedding as she possibly can, and they're going crazy right now, so I best feed them. But I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. This has taken a few years to come up with, just this kind of system and the products that I use, but it's always subject to change if I find something better. But for now, this is what works, and I really hope that the new hay system will work out so that I'm not having a whole bunch of hay buildup and can spot clean as I'd like to. Now, I'm going to feed these goats before they go absolutely insane, but God bless, and I hope you have a great day.